are you trashing my scene? You are trashing my scene. You do it one more fucking time, and I ain't walking on this set if you're still hired. I'm fucking serious. You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy, but I don't fucking cut it when you're bullshitting and fucking around like this on set. Yeah, you might get it. He doesn't fucking get it. You might. He does not get it.
Good adjustments.
No, I don't need any fucking walking. He needs to stop walking. I ain't the one walking. Let's get Tom and put this back on. Let's go again. Seriously, man, you and me, we're fucking done, professional.
For us today, I don't know, whatever it is, it's not right on the teleprompter. I don't know what that is. I've never seen that. Okay, but yeah, I can't read it. There's no words on it. There's no words there to play us out. What does that mean? To play us out? What is, I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean? To end the show? All right, go. That's tomorrow, and that is it. That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. And we will leave you with a, I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Fuck it! Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live! Fucking thing sucks! That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his new album. Take it away. Tomorrow, and that is it for us today, and we will leave you with a, I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks. That's tomorrow, and that is it for us today. I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks again for watching. We'll leave you with Sting and a cut off his
surrounded by ocean, with their life raft taking on water and their plane sinking next to them. Two men winched to safety, acutely aware of how lucky they are.
You know, they were giving us the thumbs up and so on as we originally circled. Very excited, very happy to be alive.
Because this could have been a very different story. The duo raised the alarm on their Cessna at around 8:30 this morning.
It had lost one of its engines, and the report was that it was descending.
Flight records show the plane left Sunshine Coast Airport bound for American Samoa. It attempted to turn around, but couldn't make it back to shore, landing in the sea about 65 kilometres off the Queensland coast.
The aircraft was full of fuel, and so it was quite heavy.
They would have hit the ocean, I would say, doing at least 100 kilometres an hour.
A nearby Royal Flying Doctor Service plane was diverted.
They were able to provide quite accurate details about the location.
Which guided rescuers to the scene. They winched the men aged 51 and 59 to safety in the nick of time.
If RFDS had not been there, or if it had been another 10, 15 minutes, the plane would have gone down. We would have been searching possibly in a very big ocean for those two men.
The two men were brought to Sunshine Coast University Hospital as a precaution. They were discharged a short time later, miraculously uninjured.
Yeah, certainly things lined up for them today.
The Australian Transport Safety Bureau is investigating. Owen Jarks, ABC News.
I got totally distracted there for a moment. I think I've been shadow banned on TikTok. If I have, it's probably my fault. But I'm just trying to get out of it just a little bit. So there's that. How's everybody doing? Good, I hope. Good, good. Everybody's good. I was really tired yesterday. I should have waited till today to come on. I don't know what the heck I was even doing. Why is he doing it? I don't know. YouTube is trying to be special again. So the reason I think I'm suddenly getting, I know why, probably. I got a little obsessed with a game on Twitch, on TikTok, and I was trying to beat it, but so they may think I've been posting too much, so they're slowing me down. I think that's the reason. I do post a lot on already, so especially when I have energy to do stuff. There we go. Yeah, nothing. It's not sending my stuff out at all. Huh.
According to the judgment.
Okay. I don't know. I'm just not sure what's going on. Shut up. I'm just not sure what's going on with all that. I just don't know. Just don't know. It's just weird. Did I do something wrong? Oh, I've done plenty of wrong things, but what specifically did I do wrong? Hope everybody. Hope everybody's doing good. I drew today mostly. What else did I do? Lifted weights, which I know, whatever, but I'm trying to live a little bit of a healthier life. Also, lifting weights is it takes less prep than running. I can just do it whenever, which is nice. But so still trying to not die. The quest of not dying is strong, and I've been a doughy boy my whole life, so even having just a little bit of muscle was kind of fun. Do. Feel free to talk. The people I know who are here. What else did I do? I read a comic about orcs today. It's not bad actually. It's by G. I always mix up her middle name and last name. It's G. Willow Wilson, the creator of Miss Marvel. Yeah, she created Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan, who I am nervous that I've been mispronouncing this whole time. Anyways, I like Willow Wilson. It's a pretty good. It's like a 7 out of 10, or I don't like giving numbers. Numbers aren't bad. It's not like the greatest masterpiece I've ever read, but I liked it. I liked it enough. And it's only the first 3 issues. Still got plenty of room to do like a lot of wild things, but it's a successful fantasy book. I think, at least. You know? Fantasy comics are hard to do, so anyone... I feel like I'm slagging it off. I'm really not. I think it's actually been, it's pretty successful. But it's, I don't know. I have a whole review coming up on it where I sound somewhat positive. I sound positive to it, and I feel positive towards it. I'm excited to read more. It's just the intro. It's pretty. There's an element of romance to it, in that the main human guy and the main orc girl are pretty clearly being positioned to fall in love, and I think it's just, I don't know. It's weird because it's like the first 3 issues, so there's like a lot of exposition that they have to get through before like the story starts. Fantasy in comics, I don't. You know, it has a pretty conventional. I guess the criticism I think I'm making, even though I don't think it's a problem that they're doing this. There's a very common fantasy convention where it's essentially a zombie apocalypse. You know, because they don't want to do like anybody to be villains. So what they do is they have like a evil demonic group of people who are just there to. Yes. God, all this race stuff is so hard. Why we should just do nations? Just do nations. I don't mind fantasy species and stuff, but have them be part of nations, not stuff. That's the way to fix it. That's the way always to fix it. Just have it be nations who are acting like shitheads. There we go. That's how you fix it. Anyways, I like it. I get it. I'm being pretty positive, but it's like... So, anyway, so like, you know, I think of like in... What is it? Like games, they do this a lot. They have like essentially a group of zombies who are trying to murder everybody. Just like fantasy, like zombies. Fantasy stories actually kind of like zombie stories a lot, where it's just like an infection that causes people to go kill crazy. Because I think it's pretty morally unambiguous who the good guys and who the bad guys are. And you know, when you're trying to tell a fantasy story, that's fine. I think that's fine to do something like that. You know, not all of it is about the complex political reality. Sometimes it's a more personal story about certain people, and you don't have, and I don't think that's all that big of an issue. Like, you know, everybody loves the complicated stuff of like, you know, the Song of Fire and Ice things. But, can't do that in every story. And especially, it's a hard thing to do in, comics. So the reason somewhat fantasy a little bit struggles in comics is because it's fantasy stories, or like epic fantasy, or you know, Lord of the Rings ripoffs. Certainly, your favorite series isn't a Lord of the Rings ripoff. Of course they all are, but to some level. Especially any modern ones. There's things. But of course, yours isn't. Your favorite one is original. Every other one isn't, though. What was I saying? Anyways, so it's, you know, like you can do the whole nation thing, and that's great, but that's a lot of work, and it's pretty complicated. There's a lot of scenes in a lot of places, and a lot of locations and characters you have to draw, and usually, you know, the book, each part of the story is like this thick in books, or like this thick in books, you know. Comics have about this much of, like, let's see, what's one of my bigger, my best is here. I got a pretty... This is a pretty thick one. Comics have about... This is considered quite a long-term storytelling in comics. This is a dedicated team working on it for about like 2 years. About a year they did this. It is thick. It's a little bit harder to get past that. It'll take you several decades of your life, but you can do it. So unless you're a very dedicated fantasy person, fantasy comics are difficult to pull off, and there's a little bit of it's why they do. Hey Robin, how's it going? And it's why they do like more like quest-based stuff. You'll notice that like fantasy comics are always almost based around quests. You know, like more traditional going on quests. That's a lot easier to do because it's a smaller story focused on a more core group of characters. Anyways, I was just generally rambling about fantasy comics. I read a new one today. I generally like it. I think it has real potential to grow, and I'm excited to see it. But it's also keeping to conventions, and I don't really consider that to be that bad of a thing. How's it going, Robin? If you missed my general spiel. It's kind of a romance story in a lot of ways. It's about an orc princess and a human mercenary slowly falling in love, I think. It's pretty fun. It's called... what is the name? It's kind of generic, but all fantasy series have sort of a generic name. Good to see you. It's called The Hunger in the Dusk. A thing I've noticed about... I'm good. TikTok is putting me on edge a little bit. I suspect I've been shadow banned on TikTok for a bit. Don't know what that's about. Because it's not like my videos aren't just doing bad. It's like they're non-existent. Like nobody is seeing them. See, look. See, look. If you look at it, oh, that's hard to see. But I had like a bad video usually, a normal video you usually get about 200 views. I was getting 200, 200, 200, then 7, 4, 4, 0. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is, and that's frustrating me just a little bit. Besides that, it's good. It's good. I did some art today, which was fun. Comic books and stuff. Mostly, like I try and do like a variety of things, but like people seem to be most interested in my takes about like comics and books and stuff like that. So I've been kind of focusing on that. Like I was getting pretty consistent numbers. This is a weird arbitration. This is a weird like. This is like it's not that I'm complaining. Like it's like they're not showing it to anybody, It's like they're not showing it to anybody. So I'm not sure exactly what is going on. What I did wrong. I suspect I have a somewhat of suspicion of what I did wrong, but I may have posted too many videos yesterday. And they think I'm a spam account. And if you're willing to follow me on TikTok, by the way, yeah. That's why it's so important to know that I also have a YouTube account where I post pretty much the same content. So, I would appreciate. But do you have a YouTube? Well, that sounds like a fun night. What else do you do at Applebee's? Yeah. But if you have, I would appreciate a follow on the YouTubes. I'm getting very close to 1,000 followers, and that's one of the first things I need to cross to hit for them to start paying me. If you haven't already, I don't know. I can't see my followers on YouTube. Sounds delicious, Callie. Sounds delicious. Why don't it was, yeah. Sounds like you did. Sounds like you did. Sounds like a good time at Applebee's. America's favorite restaurant. Applebee's. What's that? What was that awful country song that came out a few years ago? And I'm sure now that I said it, somebody out there loves it. But where it's like Applebee's. That played not too many times. For me not to be driven crazy by it. Is it choppy as hell, or is it just on my side? Yeah. What else did I do? I lifted weights, if anybody. I'm very cool, I know. I'm talking about stuff. Anyways, what was I saying? Yeah, the Dusk and the Hunger, pretty fun. Pretty fun little, pretty fun fantasy comic, and I really like the team behind it. There it is. Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. That was a song that got stuck in my head for an obnoxiously long time. Fun fantasy comic, and it has an amazing team behind it. So who knows? It might turn into the epic for a time. I really liked the original run of Miss Marvel. That was such a good comic, like, fun. Which it's fun. It was a really good comic. I don't know. People are weird. I said something positive about it online, and I never get like, Robin. It's very mysterious. When I talk positively about certain comics. When I talk positively about comics or like complain about something, like say in a Spider-Man comic, when something dumb happens in a Spider-Man comic, I get comments like I'll get a comments occasionally of like, yeah, that's right, that's awesome. But mysteriously, when I complained about a dumb twist that happened in the Miss Marvel comic to Miss Marvel recently, online. I got comments like, she deserves to die! We should kill her off! She's the worst character ever! I'm like, I don't know what that is. Can't tell the difference. I don't know what the difference between Miss Marvel and Peter Parker is. Don't know. Don't know what that was. Not at all creeped out by that. There was a really dumb twist. Here's the thing, though. I suspect these are guys who've never even read the comics, what the comics are like. Because The Miss Marvel comics are very like light and comedic. I don't know. Are very light, they're fun and comedic usually. Yeah, it's definitely that. It's really depressing because it's like, I don't know, like if you want like the Miss Marvel comics are the like. If you've never read the Miss Marvel comics, I recommend them, by the way. But the Miss Marvel comics are like a light and like charming, almost pure superhero story that I've read in years. With the only real that it focuses mostly on Camilla's like internal struggles and stuff. And if that is like an issue, I don't know. Maybe people don't like that. I don't, there are, if you read like superhero comics because you like the darker stuff and you just don't like people having fun, I don't know what I can say to that. But like, I don't know. I feel like people's main objection to her is like, it doesn't really go, it's not even that like political in nature, really. You know what I mean? Like the comics don't really aren't really like the comics aren't really that like even political in nature. It's mostly, if that makes sense, it's just kind of it's about her being a teen with superpowers. That's the story. And it's like you have to be kind of offended on like a personal level that there is a Muslim female, person of color in the lead role of a superhero story to be like, I think, that passionately angry about something. There's been some dumb storytelling with her, but I blame mostly executives for that lately. The problem with like Miss Marvel, if I want to point out, is that Miss Marvel has now become quite a popular character, and that means like Marvel editorial has now decided that they need to be in charge of her story direction, which is the worst thing that can happen to a character. And they've already killed her off and brought her back in a comic because of reasons. It wasn't even in her comic. It was a Spider-Man comic where they randomly just killed her off. Comic books. At times they can be some of the best storytelling you'll ever read, and at times they can be the most obnoxious bullshit ever. Spider-Man, Peter Parker particularly has a big problem in that the stories are so editorially controlled that, I hate it. I hate it so much. Because it's like, the problem is that there's no tension to any of these storylines anymore. You know what I mean? They can't get over, like, both Marvel and DC have trouble getting over the death of Superman, which was like one of the most successful comics ever created. And they just they endlessly do lame gimmicks like that, where it's like they kill them off, bring them back, kill them off, bring them back. I hate funeral issues. I hate superheroes being sad about superheroes dying, because I don't believe them for a second that they're actually going to kill them off. Like, I didn't believe it for a second they were going to actually kill off Miss Marvel, because she had a movie coming out in like a couple of weeks. There's no way in hell they were going to kill her off. What I resent them putting us through like these emotional paces over and over again. When, like, if I like lived in the yeah. Oh my god. And not to go against anybody, but I find even Jason Todd, I don't know how well it worked with Jason Todd, but it's like I just can't stand it. I can't stand it. I hate those issues. I hate the issues where they're all heartbroken that the character died. It's like, what? I don't understand what the point of writing these stories are. Because we know they'll never keep to it, and they just shouldn't. They just shouldn't. Let's just take, yeah. I know. I don't know. I guess I'm getting a little bit tired of the. I find it hard to care about Jason Todd's whole deal. I don't know. Yeah. Man, Tom King was so close to pulling that off. Yeah. No, that's kind of the problem with like the big matinee name characters. Is that like the problem with Batman is if they ever change Batman way too much, people just complain about he's not Batman anymore. You know. This is yeah. I don't want Bat. I mean, but one of the best Batman stories is about Batman being a grumpy old man. So it's like the problem is, I think, like so Batman is like the big money maker for DC. So they're never going to change him too much. Because that's the money maker. It also means though that the stories that made Batman compelling, you know, the writers and artists who all came in and made the character compelling and interesting, can't do that much anymore. And I think, Robin, do you ever read like indie superhero comics ever? No, there aren't too many. They don't produce enough, but anytime they make an indie comic book, there's always, especially like really good writers will have a version of Batman. And it's like, there's always so many compelling things. And it's like, you get the hint that there are a lot of writers out there who really, really want to write Batman, but they aren't really allowed to, so they make their own version. And those characters can become quite compelling, I think. Like, there's a really good Astro City, if anybody's ever curious. Astro City by Kurt Busiek. Has a really, really cool version of has a really interesting version of Batman where he is he's a vampire priest. It's strange. And I don't know. It's hard with Batman because, like, okay, the real story is this. Batman is so, like, tightly controlled by editorial, it's hard for a good writer to come in and do anything interesting with the character. And that's a problem with, like, most of the, like, the matinee, like, characters. Like, this was a problem with Wonder Woman and Superman. Wonder Woman and Superman had this big problem as well for a lot of years. And over on Marvel, it's really hard to get characters out of this. Like the biggest one is Spider-Man. Spider-Man has this problem so ingrained into his system now that that it's like there are great Spider-Man comics out there. There are amazing Spider-Man comics out there, but Spider-Man is so hyper controlled by editorial. It's pretty hard to tell good, compelling stories with Spider-Man. Like, I suspect, by the way, that the ascendant of Batman's sidekicks to being bigger stars is because editorial doesn't care as much about what happens to Batman's sidekicks. Yeah. Batman sidekicks, so they can tell more compelling stories with them because editorial doesn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, I sometimes suspect a lot of, like, say, the new Nightwing series are in some way may have started out as Batman ideas that they didn't get to do. I don't know. I really like. This is controversial, I know, and nobody will agree with me on this, but this is controversial. I liked Tom King's run on Batman because Tom King seemed very intent to try and give Batman character development for the first time in like 30 years. Of course, yeah. He's a little. They're a little. I think I kind of agree with you. It's a little bit too chummy now with Nightwing. Yeah. The TV show? Ooh, yeah. Not a huge, yeah. Not a huge fan of that. Not a huge fan of that TV show. But I don't know. There's still good stuff. But like mysteriously, like to prove kind of my point about all this, one of the best comics that DC produced. I'm going to throw this out. I'm going to say this. The best comic DC produced in the last like 4 or 5 years is a Supergirl comic called Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. And that kind of hints at the problem. Supergirl is getting the better comics than Superman. Jimmy Olsen had there was a pretty great Jimmy Olsen comic that came out. One of the more, John Kent is getting pretty great comics. Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's the problem though, Robin, is that the main characters are, ostensibly the matinee title characters are so controlled by like corporate that it's hard to do anything with them. So like the B and C list characters always get the better stories. I mean, it's a problem. I think it's good that the B and C list characters get really good stories written with them a lot, Like, why was one of the best Marvel comics that Marvel produced in, like, the last... Yeah. I don't know. Robin, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I think there can be still great stories told. I think the Batman... The Batman Cat, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I still think there could be great stories told, but I think the Batman Catwoman thing that they were doing for a while could have been a really good way to take Batman's character. The problem is that Batman has been stuck in like 2/3 of a character arc for like 2-3 decades, and I think. They were so close to giving him enough character development that there could have been a whole new realm of stories. Listen, I'm a little bit of an old romantic. I liked the idea of Batman and Catwoman getting married. I thought that when I heard that they were gonna do that, of course they went back on it. But when I heard that they were gonna do that, I was like, there we go. That's the way to increase it. Like Batman has been progressively letting people into his life, and now he is officially like taken on, like he has a life partner now in his whole world, and how do you adjust to that? I don't think like we've ever had a good story about a married superhero, and I think that would be interesting with Bruce Wayne. Is that how does he navigate all this stuff now? Like how do Selina and Bruce navigate their lives together now? And I think that would have worked really well. I think that was the way to I think that's the way to go now. Bruce has been slowly letting people back into his life for over his whole existence, and I think finally he's comfortable to share his life with somebody. But it's like people complain about it, and people are like, "What?" And the problem is also ultimately the status quo must be reestablished, and I don't know. So that's my complaint. Yeah. Of course you did, Robin. Of course you did. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'm not. I don't know. It's Superman and Batman. See, the thing though is like Superman. I don't know exactly where I would take Superman. if I was in charge of it. I guess I'm now just fantasizing about being in charge of. Yeah, it would. It would. How would that work? Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. I guess I'm just fantasizing now about Superman and yeah. Yes, they would. Dude, Robin, the guy who wrote that Superman has a bisexual son has a bodyguard now because of all the death threats that guy got. Of course. Oh, somebody would. People don't have good relations with the things that they enjoy. I don't know if you can tell who I want Bruce to eventually end up with, as I spent a good half hour talking about that. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you can tell who I'm shipping him with. Yeah, it's impossible. Listen, Robin, there's no such thing as nuance to those people. It's. What? No, I'm being very subtle about who I'm rooting for. It's funny because two of my favorite villainesses. Yeah. It's funny because I think two of my favorite villainesses kind of have a similar thing. I wonder if that says something about me. Because I also really like Black Cat in Spider-Man stories. And I really like Catwoman. And I'm like, I wonder if that says something about me. I wonder if that says something about me. I don't know. That's an unexamined part of my psyche. I think it's more that I like the thief part of it more. I think I like that they're jewel thieves and all that. I think I like that sort of stuff. I'm actually allergic to cats. I don't know. I like stories about heists and stuff. I really like heist movies and heist stories, and I always think those types of characters are fun who can pull that off. And the fact that, there's two characters that are somewhat similar in comics, I think is really fun. Possibly it's a little bit of a I don't know. I guess this is something. I like the dynamic of the fun-loving one and the kind of serious, grumpy one. I always think that's a good dynamic for characters to have. I don't know. A lot of my stories have that. There's an element of that. I don't like obsessing over tropes. I don't like the storytelling trend of just saying the tropes that are in things. But I guess if I were to say that I'm too good for yeah. Go for it, Robin. Go for it. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Well, I guess my objection, I don't know. I feel that people try too hard to include as many tropes as possible into their stories now. You know what I mean? Instead of the trope happening because of a natural outreach of a story, people are trying to deliberately write the story to include it. And I'm not a huge fan of it. It feels like it feels like it's not the way to go. It feels like that's just not a good way to approach writing your story, I guess. Is I want these sorts of things to exist. And I'm I don't know. And I get like advertising certain things makes sense in a way. Listen, yeah. Yes, thank you for putting into words what I was trying to express. Yeah. Well, I think tropes are like, yeah. I don't know. That's one of those difficult things because it's like, then I'm sure there'll be like a ton of writers out there who have successfully navigated that, doing it that way, and like all power to them. But I feel for me personally, I just don't think that's a good way to approach creativity. Is to have kind of like this real precise, like ingredients, because it's like. Because, characters are tropes, but, they shouldn't just be that. Like, if you're building, like, a 5-man band, like, yeah, the characters will kind of naturally fall into certain roles. They'll be the hero, the lancer, the, what is it, like, the big guy. But, it's not all that, I don't think. People are multifaceted, and characters should also probably follow that trend. That's my writing tip of the week. But yes, my fascination with both Selena Kyle and Felicia Hardy. Yeah. Yes, that's exactly. I've seen. I don't know. I like heist stories a lot, and I guess I think that's a fun idea of like. Just a character who like both Felicia Hardy and Selena Kyle are like villains, but they're not like bad criminals, but they're not like villains really. It's like they're always depicted as stealing from rich jackasses. So I think there's something just inherently like fun about heist movies, and I like seeing that in comic book form, and I like characters who are yeah. Well, the thing about it is, like with romance stuff, it's a little hard. I do agree with romance stuff. It's a little hard because in the end, the plot is always kind of the same. Not to impugn it. Not to impugn that. I think there's nothing wrong with following a well-established formula and stuff, but it's it's lots of genres are kind of defined a little bit by the fact that they kind of follow a couple of set formulas, I think, a little bit, and I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. I've always been like personally up for like I have no issue, by the way, with a writer just following like the hero's journey or something. You know what I mean? Like, I know I've met people who are like, "Ugh, I hate the hero's journey," and I'm like, but do you? Yeah. I hate that. What? Do you find it funny that in a lot of, especially older sci-fi dramas, that there's always like a really attractive robot character? I always find that really funny. Yeah. Like there's always a robot that's really like. I always find that really funny. I don't know, that says something, but I have not thought about it too deeply. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like there's always a Han Solo type. I mean, it's important to remember a lot. See, listen. He is a polite. Yes, C-3PO is the best. Can you believe that movie had just a PG-13 rating when there was full-on robot nudity? Full-on robot nudity. Yeah. I mean, that movie, Star Wars. What? I don't know. Like, do you read Marvel comics, Robin, or are you more of a DC person? Because, do I have a long, not angry, but long complaint about how they're writing Spider-Man comics at the moment. Needless to say, writing in Spider-Man comics have not been particularly good. The writing of Spider-Man comics have not been particularly good for the last few years, and it's very frustrating. Are you familiar with the whole wedding fiasco thing? What happened? This whole... So, there's been this huge gaping maw in, Spider-Man stuff, lately. So, the problem with Peter Parker and the Spider-Man comics just in general is it's been mostly absorbed by, there was a big screw-up that they did about almost a decade ago, approaching 2 decades, almost about a decade ago, and they have not been able to write a way out of it yet. They haven't been able to figure out a way to write out of it. And it all has to do with the fact that the editor-in-chief of Marvel was going through a divorce. So Peter has been married to Mary Jane for a long time in the comics. In the comics, it makes sense because the original run of Spider-Man all the way up to the marriage is about Peter's character development and slowly learning to trust people again and bring them in. And the series kind of culminates with Peter getting married to Mary Jane, and there's some good stuff after that. But it's a pretty great character arc that goes over years of Peter slowly maturing and becoming as he becomes a full-time superhero. Great comics, some really good some really good writing in the Spider-Man comics. Anyways, the editor-in-chief of Marvel at the time, Joe Quesada, was going through a really bad divorce, and he and a few people were complaining, Spider-Man isn't single. Spider-Man isn't single. He isn't single anymore like when I was a kid. I want to bring back the cool swinging bachelor Peter from my teenage years. So they wrote this whole plot line where Spider-Man sells his marriage to Mephisto, aka the devil, to save Aunt May. Not a good storyline. So, ever since that, Peter Parker comics have been mostly about one thing, and one thing only. Are they going to bring back the marriage? So, it's been a decade of this, Robin. Of this one plot point. Over and over and over again. Are they going to bring back the marriage? They hint that they may bring it back, then they take it away. They hint that they may bring it back, then they take it away. So what was supposed to free Peter up has kind of stuck him in a horrible, Arrested Development, where ironically he seems much older now because he has obnoxious. He comes off like an obnoxious divorced guy. I think in continuity, Peter is in his 30. I'm 30, so it's not, Peter doesn't have to be married. But it's bad. It's very bad. The writing is very bad, and yeah. And yes, exactly. And at this point, Robin, I would be fine if they said, you know what, we're in charge of the comics. We're not doing the marriage anymore. I think the marriage was pretty good. There were some not great written parts about the marriage because they never do married superheroes right, I think. That may be an idea I've been playing around in my head with for a while. I don't know if you can tell, this is kind of getting a real bugbear of mine, that they're all scared of like getting the characters hitched eventually. People in real life have fun, exciting jobs, and they have partners, and the partners are often part of it. Anyways. Oh, ad. Are you seeing an ad right now? I'll give it a second. Yeah. I promise we are going to write today, but I'm just... Yeah. No. What? No. What? Not. It's not an idea I've been floating around in my head for a while. Yeah, I want to. Like, fundamentally, Robin, if I could, what was I going to say? Yeah. Let's make her all our own things, exactly. What was I going to say? So it's just frustrating, because Peter, when he's written well, is a really good and compelling character. And, you know, he has a lot of... Being kind of a normal guy in kind of an absurd world is pretty fun. But I hate this plot point. I hate this plot point because it's dumb. And the thing is, I'm at the point now in this whole stuff where I'm like, either do it, or either recant it or don't recant it. I don't care anymore. Either make, like, Mary Jane his one true love and have them be married again, or, like, break it up and let's move on and let Peter move on with his life. It's so frustrating to have this character stuck in this, like, arrested development for over a decade. Like, I'll throw this out there. When I started reading comics, I started reading the Ultimate version of Peter Parker. And he, for a long time in that comics, dates Kitty Pryde. I didn't hate that relationship. If they were to do that in the mainstream comics, I probably wouldn't object. But it's frustrating because it's like either I get reinvested in the Mary Jane relationship, or they let the characters move on. What's so frustrating at this moment now is that they are stuck in this like holding pattern. I love Kitty Pryde. Kitty Pryde was one of my favorite characters. But it's so frustrating to have these characters stuck in this holding pattern forever. But that's the problem with like big name characters, is that they'll get stuck in a holding pattern and then they just won't do anything for years. I think Kitty Pryde is almost like universally like one of the most popular X-Men. And I think she's popular, yeah. I think Kitty is popular for the same reason, vaguely, that Peter is popular, in that she's kind of she's a normal person. She's a normal person in an absurd world. And so she makes like a really good viewpoint character, which is kind of why like her and Peter kind of makes, I think, like kind of made sense in the in that line of comics as characters. Yeah. She does deserve more time. I agree with you 100%. And, you know, I'm not all about... I don't think superhero stories should exclusively focus on the superheroes' romantic lives, but it is very frustrating for characters to not... You know, you don't need... Like, Sherlock Holmes, you don't need to, like, have, like, characters change radically, but it's good to have characters, like, have... like realistic emotions and move on, and not just be misery guts every second of every day. I don't know. I love Kitty. Yes. Why doesn't Kitty Pryde get her own comic series? They were going to give her own movie. I know that. There's a pretty there's a pretty they were thinking of giving her own movie at one point, but that Fox was, but that kind of fell through. I find Robin. Of course I did. Of course I did. Of course I watched the X-Men Evolution. I loved that. I loved that show. I watched the original X-Men too. Yes. I love that. I love that show. That was my that was I have quite. I'm quite fond of that show. I know. X20. X23. Yeah. The TV shows are really good, partly because they're not so. I find the X-Men comics quite incomprehensible nowadays. There's a lot of lore and myths surrounding. There's a lot of lore and myths surrounding the X-Men and the whole mutant thing, and it's a little. I don't know. That gets really confused. I'm not the hugest fan of the whole what they're doing right now with X-Men. I don't know. I just don't know. It's pretty. I don't know. I just don't know about that one, but a lot of people really like it, and I'm not gonna fight that. So. They're treading in a weird territory that I don't think people fully comprehend. Yeah. Well, they've tried a few. There was Legion, that was pretty fun, and there was New Mutants, which was yeah. You know what's so funny, Robin? I'll say this about X-Men. I always think this about X-Men. I think it's so funny that Marvel came up with the perfect young adult franchise, and they've never been able to capitalize on it. Because it's like, literally, there are so many YA franchises that just do X-Men. And it's like, they've never, for some reason, like especially like when the YA like book trend was like going popular, like New Mutants needed to come out like then. But they've never been able to successfully capitalize it, and I think that's just so weird. That they essentially built the blueprint for this, and they've never been able to do it themselves. Umbrella Academy is kind of an X-Men thing. That new Boys spin-off, Gen V. I wonder if that's secret. The Gen V thing, that's kind of an X-Men thing too. I remember that arc from The Boys. That was, yeah. Yes, I know. Elliot Page played Kitty Pryde. I mean, that's good. I just think it's so funny that it's like, I've always thought how funny this was, that it's like Marvel created the proto YA franchise and has never successfully marketed it as such. Like, here's my thing. Marvel. Listen to me. YA book series about a new X-Men character. Come on. That's just obvious. Why haven't you done that? Tie it into the mainstream universe, but come on. You could have so easily done that. Yeah. Anyways, I do want to create my own superhero universe. I've tried a few times. I get a little bit into it, and then I kind of get distracted. Yeah. Well, the thing about Marvel is, in some ways, that's not necessarily true. Boy, DC went through a fucking shitty period for like almost a decade or so. And Marvel looked like comparatively the better, smarter company. I think it's kind of changing now. I think the new management at DC is doing some fun, exciting things. Whereas, but comics don't make money. Comics are most useful for providing IP to adapt into films. So, It is. I don't know. I think it's weird because like webtoon is like such a big deal, and I think I don't know. I think DC is actually like DC Comics are actually starting to do kind of interesting things again with their characters, whereas like Marvel's big problem for me right now is that they're starting to get a little bit too into their own mythology. I think I always had an issue with DC is like DC is so into its own lore. Yeah. Like DC is way too into its own lore at times, and it bugs me. Whereas Marvel always had the thought process that these characters were like just real people, you know? But nowadays DC is starting to get a little bit looser with all that stuff. And it's starting to get a little less reverent about their characters, whereas like Marvel, controversially, is starting to get kind of reverent about like the Avengers and stuff, and it's bugging me just a little bit. The DC webtoons are pretty good, and that kind of hints that DC is playing, I think, a smarter game at this moment. That they are collaborating with Webtoon and stuff like that, and the fact that they have Webtoon stuff on it, I think, is pretty smart because you got to go to where the people are. You can't expect the people to come to you. Which I don't know. It bugs me to no end that the most successful franchise of all time, which is the Marvel movies. Somehow could not get people interested at all into the comics. And I mostly blame the comics for that. I think they're too expensive. I think comics are way too expensive. I think yeah. They brought Doctor Strange back. That's been pretty good. The Scarlet Witch series isn't bad. Let's see what other. Luke. They made Luke Cage ran for and won the mayoral one. Is now the mayor of New York. Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil is proving to be pretty decent. Is proving to be a pretty decent run on the character. Anything else? Anything else good in the Marvel? In new Marvel comics? I like Doctor Strange. If you've watched any of my videos, if you've watched any of my videos, you may get the hint that I like Doctor Strange quite a lot. That's because I do. Doctor Strange is one of my favorite characters. I think Marvel is kind of. I think the Marvel universe is kind of poor when because Marvel has a really weird Marvel's magic stuff is really weird and fun. Yeah. Like really weird and surreal, and when they don't engage in that, it's kind of sad because it's always like deeply strange and weird, the Marvel magic side. I think there is, or was that Secret Invasion? I don't know. I think that was that Secret Invasion. But there may be just a Nick Fury show coming out. I think that was just Secret Invasion. Yeah. I don't know. I want a Ghost Rider TV show. There should be a Ghost Rider thing. I don't know. Who else? Now I'm just trying to think of kind of characters that would be nice to see. Maybe the Power Pack at some point probably should be coming. The Captain Marvel movie had him as younger. I don't know. I mean, the S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff is fun in Marvel. Shield is weird. Listen, like, the thing about Marvel comics, just in general, is they're kind of weird. And they're pretty, like, influenced by, like, kind of 60s, like, psychedelia 60s stuff in a lot of ways. So, like, there's always a fun energy to them if you can get the tone right for their stuff. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you had a fun dream. Like, by the way, like, if you're ever curious at all about, like, the Spider-Man comic, I'm gonna throw something out there. Yeah. Like, Steve Ditko and Jack Kirby were both pretty strange, like, 60s dudes, and Stan Lee is also pretty strange, you know, but, man, like, with Steve Ditko, I think, you know, people, like, there's debate about how much Stan Lee actually wrote for Marvel Comics, and it's quite a serious debate. But I can throw one thing out about Stan Lee that's very definitive. He's the reason why Spider-Man comics aren't fucking obnoxious as hell. Oh boy. Steve Ditko, one of the great... I love Steve Ditko's art, and his writing and his storytelling is pretty great. But thank all the, like, voices in heaven and stuff that Steve Ditko didn't write the dialogue. Ooh boy. And wasn't in charge of plotting the stories. Wasn't overtly plotting the stories because, oh, thank God, Stan Lee was in charge of the dialogue. Because without that would be very, very bad. If you don't know about Steve Ditko and his whole deal, Steve Ditko is the co-creator of Spider-Man. He's also the co-creator of Doctor Strange and Squirrel Girl. And Marvel had a kind of a strange way. So one of the weird things about Marvel is that they had a method for writing their comics that is, they'd be pretty funny. I think they'd be bad, but in a different way. Stan Lee's dialogue is very distinctive, but George Lucas is very bad at dialogue, so it's better to have. It's better to have somebody else write his dialogue. Like, I mean, the original Star Wars, I think one of the things that people undersell about the original Star Wars is that there was a lot of, like, improvisation going on when they were making those movies. Yeah. Like, there was a lot of improvisation, and I think that really sold it. Like, Han Solo, I think. Hey Sass, how's it going? We're talking comics and Star Wars. I swear we're gonna write. In fact, I'm gonna give us. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna set up a. Although I can talk about this stuff for hours at a time. How's it going with you, buddy? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna set up a poll. Oh, thanks. Yeah. Oh, no problem. What was I gonna say? So, like, I think part of the deal with, like, Star Wars, like, what gave it its power just a little bit, in my opinion, is that, you know, it was made at a very particular time in filmmaking, where, it was a lot looser, and, there wasn't so much corporate bullshit over it. Hours, forever. I could talk about this shit forever. I'll let you guys decide if we do a sprint. People have gotten me on like a 4 or 5 hour conversation about, like, very particular minor things in comics and Star Wars before. It happens. Don't really get a chance to talk about fantasy all that much. I do like talking about fantasy. What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, anyway, so I think like there's a whole like I think like there's so many great like, little moments in Star Wars where it's just like it's improvised and it's subtle and like I just don't think stuff like that gets to happen anymore. Like everything is like way too controlled because like Star Wars was created by a real gifted team of like filmmakers who were kind of operating independently from like studio. Like famously, the studios did not believe in Star Wars. It's why Lucas got so much control over it because like, oh well, American Graffiti was popular, so we'll give him this, let him do this stupid space thing he wants to do. And the fact that there was so little control meant that the biggest movie franchise ever got produced because of that. And nowadays, it's so much about reverse engineering that and like trying to do well. Star Wars was effective for these quadrant regions, so we're going to work on it. We're going to work on a project much like it to effect. And it's like, ugh. And it's like, yeah, exactly. And it's like that's why we don't get original stuff is because like these bean counters are in charge of everything. I don't know. That's such a, that's an excuse since the beginning of time, but it really was. No, it's just a movie. It's just George Lucas liking stuff. There's been books written afterwards that take place in it, but no, the original movies were totally just an original thing that Lucas. I mean, Star Wars is far from original, and there's a lot of influences. There was, you can trace it back to like, there's a movie called, Lucas borrowed the first movie structure from a movie called The Hidden Fortress that Akira Kurosawa directed. That's a very well acknowledged thing. There's some obvious there's some obvious cues from like this is debated, but there's some cues from like Joseph Campbell's writing on story structure. Some influence from and there's a lot of stuff you can like take influence from, like The Searchers, Dune. The look comes from what is it? The Isaac Asimov books, Foundation. The Empire seems to be taken from Foundation, a mix of Foundation and Dune. Like there's a ton of stuff you can go like, oh yeah, he was inspired. There were some influences from there and there. There and there, and he had he had a broad swath of things he was fascinated by, but but that's just being that's what's called being a filmmaker and being original, is that you take all the things you're interested in and let it influence you. Yes, I am aware of the Zombie Stormtrooper books, I think. It's called Red Harvest, right? Or Red Moon? But it's like, I don't know, it's just stuff like that could never happen. And it's why, although I think, I'll throw this out, I think the Disney Star Wars movies are stronger than the prequel trilogy in a lot of ways. I still don't think they measure up, because I think it's just too much. Everything's so slick now. I don't know. It's not that, like, it's it would be very, I'll throw this out there, it would be very disingenuous of me to say that, like, the slick corporate filmmaking world does not produce good movies. I think that's very, like, disingenuous for people to say. And I would really fight people on that. Like, Disney has made good movies before. I think I even think some of the sequel trilogy is quite strong. I think the sequel trilogy is quite strong filmmaking in some very specific in some instances. Yeah. Yeah. The prequels are such a mess. I've never been. Listen, I was a 13-year-old when they came out, and I was bored by them, and I fucking loved Star Wars as a kid. I rewatched those movies obsessively, but I was incredibly bored by them. I found myself staring out the window all the time. What I remember from the prequel movies is long scenes in the council, at the Jedi Council discussing various things and not being able to follow any of it. Yeah, I assume they are. I have a friend, by the way. I have a good friend who fucking loves the prequels, so I don't tend to be like shitty about that. Yeah. Well, that was very good casting. Ewan McGregor is a very good actor. I don't, and he likes it, so it's like I'm not gonna be weird about it. But I think they're quite boring. I also don't think the effects have aged particularly well. Where the effects in the original movie still look quite cool and interesting, the effects in the prequel I think have aged terribly. I also think, yeah. I also think how they filmed it looks bad. Like, it just looks bad. It looks bad. The filming looks bad. The fact that it looks, and over the years, I hate all the CGI like backgrounds that they do, because it just looks like characters walking in front of a green screen now. I think. I don't know. I don't think almost nothing about it really holds up in my opinion. I don't know. I think about like the prequels. I don't know. But I also don't want to be one of those people who are like, the prequels are so... I think that was overdone. There's some... But like the Disney stuff... Like, the thing about the Disney stuff, and to an extent the Marvel stuff, is... At least it used to be. I think they're a little nervous right now, and they're making panic moves that I don't think are as smart. But... the thing about the Disney thing and the thing about the Marvel thing is Disney brings with itself a baseline competence that means that it's hard for them to make a truly spectacularly like bad movie usually. They tend, like, the Disney problem is always that the stuff, like, bad Disney movies are usually like really mediocre, like aggressively mediocre. And I always think that's the problem. So it's like the bad Star Wars movies that they made, they aren't bad because like they're like, oh, this is the worst movie ever, I've never seen a worse movie. It's because they're just kind of mediocre, Yeah. I agree. They're boring. I'd like to see Topher Grace's recut. Yeah. I think the prequel comics are not bad also. Like, the comics that they said in the prequel era are not bad. The prequels, I think, not to go too far into this, I think suffer from not having a super compelling... Like, I haven't seen the animated shows. I kind of was put off by the animation style. I should check them out. I think the prequels suffer from not having, like... So... Not to go into the originals, but the originals are really well structured, and that's partly why they work so well. The originals, I think, are really smart to have two separate characters kind of act as like audience surrogates, because both Luke and Han can act pretty well as audience surrogates, because Han is sort of the cynical guy who kind of voices the like this, what the audience may be thinking at that moment, whereas Luke is kind of the naive guy who is not really experienced that much with the world beyond his farm, but has big dreams. And they're both kind of they both work really well as diegetic characters into those movies, and it makes explaining stuff pretty seamless and easy, you know. And I think the prequel trilogies lack both of those characters. Like, there's no real Han Solo character that kind of voices the thoughts of the audience in the prequels at all. There is none. So we don't get that, like, you know, you don't get that point in the character where it's like, oh, this is me going through that. And then there's the problem of that there's no, like, Anakin, they try and do a similar thing with Anakin, but, like, pretty much after Phantom Menace, Anakin is just part of the world and knows everything that's going on at all times. So there's no, like, you know, like, listen, there needs to be a character who is not familiar with this world that you can sit there and explain to them, okay, this is what's going on. Because how was I, as, like, a small child, supposed to follow the political maneuvering of, like, a trade deal, a trade federation going south? It's hard to follow as a young man. It's a little difficult to follow as a young man. It's kind of hard to follow as an older person. And I'm pretty knowledgeable about politics and stuff now. Yeah. And I think that's, like, the main problem with the prequels, is that there's no, like, character like that in a lot of ways. And Anakin theoretically could serve as that character, but they don't do that with Anakin all that much. So, throwing it out there, I guess I'm gonna close this little speech, and then we're gonna get some writing done. How does that sound? And then we can talk more. Yeah, I agree. I partly think that's why the sequels are stronger than the prequels. It's because Rey is a pretty okay character in that regard, in that she works pretty well as an audience surrogate. And you know, the last Rise of Skywalker is a total panic move by people who are no longer confident in their idea, and I don't think that's smart, and it kind of muddles a lot of character development that Rey went through, and I don't like it. But if you're writing a story, and this is theoretically a stream where I give writing advice, but nobody needs this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. And, you know, sometimes when I state the obvious, it's less for you people and it's more to remind myself that this is important. It's usually a good idea to have a character who's new to the world be introduced to all this stuff. You know, it creates a pretty easy diegetic way to explain it, to give exposition. And just remember that. And it's also usually good to have a character who may voice the audience's thoughts at times. Anyways, let's write. How about that? Let's write maybe for about 20 minutes. I think that's reasonable. Okay, 1 second. I'm going to pin this comment 1 second that I'm writing at this moment. Okay, pin for 20 minutes. There we go. Okay, we'll pin it for 21 minutes. Okay. Starting in 5. Oh, that's a good way to have a timer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get going to write right now. There it is. Okay, see you guys in 20.
Spotted a vehicle that was taken in an aggravated robbery, carjacking, the previous day at 59 and Beechnut. Officers got behind the suspect didn't alert using any emergency equipment or anything. Somehow the suspect was alerted and decided to flee officers. Officers then pursued the suspect. The suspect drove northbound on 59, and as they got right there at the 610 loop, there was a violent crash. He crashed in several vehicles. He got out the vehicle, and the officers got out. He engaged and shot one of our officers who went down at that time. Other officers came. Suspect carjacked somebody the previous day. They're on the scene. Attempted to carjack 2 other individuals while engaging. I can tell you that at least 3 officers, and this is fluent. That scene is still active out here, and I'm just telling you what I know right now. We don't know how many officers discharged. We're going to determine that probably later on today, but at least 3. Multiple shots hit the suspect, and again, he's deceased. Again, our officer is okay. As per policy, our officer will be placed on administrative leave. Our special investigative unit and will conduct the criminal part of the investigation. Our internal affairs will conduct the administrative part of the investigation. I want to say this is so important. Our great city, we've been through a lot here, and I want to touch on some other incidents before I turn it over to Victor Cintiez with our PIOs to translate in Spanish. Tough day, but what I celebrate is our citizens, our police officers. There's one citizen out there who has had some trouble with law enforcement in his life. Today, he and a few other citizens, along with our officers, when that officer went down, they pulled him to safety. And I want to celebrate that. And I want to share this with the public because it's so important. People make mistakes, but a truly reformed individual is a person that we can use. And he stepped up, and other citizens stepped up, and I don't want that to get lost. It'll be a time that we'll acknowledge him formally, say his name, but I just want to thank him and other citizens and our officers. Let me speak to, and I always do, human element. People don't understand what our officers go through day in and day out. And I as chief, I meant to say, I'm extremely proud of what they do every day, and their families go through a lot. So let's continue to pray for everybody, pray for our officers. Suspect, he has a family. I don't know what motivated him to do what he did today, but everybody has a family, and we pray for everybody. But thank God our officer is in a good place here at Memorial Hermann, and they're taking care of him, and we expect him to make a full recovery. Before I turn it over, I wanted to discuss just a few more incidents that happened. It's been a tough 24-hour period. As we know and we've seen in the news, there were 4 homicides in our city, relational type of domestics, most of them, and we're praying for all of those families involved. Also, this morning downtown at just after 2 a.m., 6 individuals deceased in a crash. That's just tough. And I know it's Veterans Day, and I want to speak to that just here in a second. But 6 individuals, young people, deceased. 2 in the hospital. 1 is in critical condition, and the other one is stable. So do what our city does. In any tough time. So proud of this region, this city, what we do. We men together. We hold people up in their pain. So I'm asking if you'll do this, and it is Veterans Day. It has been a tragic day in our city, but I want to thank all our veterans for what they have done for our nation. Had it not been for them, we don't have the freedoms that we have today in every state, every city, every county, every neighborhood. So I want to thank them. But I'll step down before we get to questions, and Vic, if you would translate. Thank you.
Buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Víctor Centíez, soy el vocero del Departamento de Policía de Houston. Voy a dar un pequeño recuento de lo que acaba de decir el eso de las 10 de la mañana, nuestros oficiales recibieron información y vieron un vehículo que concordaba con la descripción de un vehículo que fue robado ayer en Houston. Ellos recibieron la información y el vehículo fue visto en la carretera 59 cerca de la calle Beachland. Los oficiales llamaron por asistencia, luego de ahí intentaron hacer una parada de tráfico y de ahí se inició una persecución que resultó en un choque muy violento que sucedió por la 59 y la carretera 610. El sospechoso en ese momento se bajó del carro y tuvo un intercambio de disparos con el sospechoso, quien fue herido ahí en la escena. Uno de nuestros oficiales también resultó herido en la pierna y fue traído aquí al hospital Memorial Hermann, y se le agradece todas las labores que han hecho los doctores aquí en el hospital para ayudar a nuestro oficial. El sospechoso fue llevado también al hospital y fue pronunciado fallecido. También durante este intercambio de disparo tenemos entendido que el sospechoso intentó robar por lo menos 2 otros vehículos. Esas víctimas están bien, no resultaron heridas serias. Lo que tenemos entendido es por lo menos 3 oficiales de nuestro departamento descargaron su arma. Todavía estamos en el proceso de conducir la investigación con la unidad de investigaciones especializadas y también la división de asuntos internos, y obviamente el procurador del condado de Harris también va a estar involucrado. También queremos agradecer a una persona que en el pasado ha tenido problemas con la ley y hoy es un buen ejemplo de lo que uno puede hacer para dar un giro en su vida. Esta persona, al ver el oficial que fue herido, tomó la decisión de ir a sacar ese oficial de peligro y lo arrastró de ahí. Después de que él resultó herido, lo arrastró detrás de un vehículo para que ya no resultara herido. Y ese es un buen ejemplo, como dijo el jefe Finner, es un buen ejemplo de cómo personas que han tenido problemas en el pasado pueden dar un giro a su vida. También queremos recalcar que ha sido un día sumamente difícil para todos, comenzando con 4 homicidios que sucedieron, que se cree que posiblemente son resultados de violencia doméstica. Esos casos están bajo investigación, y también con un choque que sucedió ahora en la madrugada en el centro de Houston, que dejó un saldo de por lo menos 6 personas muertas, 2 personas hospitalizadas, una de ellas en condición crítica. Y queremos rezar por todas esas familias que ahora están sufriendo por esas tragedias. Y además, hoy siendo Día de los Veteranos, el jefe Finner también quiere dar mil gracias a todos los veteranos y a aquellas personas que dieron de su vida para que tuviéramos estas libertades que teníamos el día de hoy. Gracias.
Thank you. Before I entertain questions and moving back to the crash scene this morning, we'll at some time when it's appropriate, when all family members are contacted, as well as releasing the information on our offices, we'll release all that probably sometime tomorrow, maybe, when it's appropriate. Just ask the media, even on the crash, to respect the family and let us get proper notification out before we put anything out publicly and officially. Okay, go ahead with questions. I understand a little bit at 4 minutes, a little bit under 4 minutes, but let me speak to that right quick, because there's been a whole lot of talk on pursuits, and we've changed the policy for the better, and we've seen some improvements. Yet and still, there's a heck of a lot of dangerous individuals out in our community. When they steal cars, they commit violent crimes. But it was 4 minutes, and I want to commend our officers for what I know right now. And like I said, it's fluent, adhering to our policy. But at the same time, we're not going to let these violent suspects take over our city. And we always are sad when it's injuries or our crash, but we have to control those violent individuals in our city. Okay? I'm not sure. I haven't been out there to the scene. I intend to. I wanted to come up here immediately and check on my office. officer and his family, which is to me as the chief most important. I got a whole team of individuals out there, but we'll get out there and as part of the investigation, and as we determine more facts, we'll push them out to the public. Okay. Next. Go ahead. Not just one, two, and at the same time engaging our officers. I do want to, this is part of the investigation. I want to look at the video myself, and I always say it's fluent. Preliminary investigation. Things change a little bit, but what I'm told, and what's clear to everybody out on the scene, they tried to carjack several individuals. Two individuals. The third was the day before. Allegedly carjacked another citizen. So, okay. Next one. I'm not sure on that. I just know that he and I understand some of our officers and one or two more citizens pulled our officer when he went down behind the cover of another vehicle out of the line of danger. At least two citizens and several officers. So, again, the exact numbers I don't know right now until I get out there. Okay. Anything else? No, sir. No. Just was trying to just clarify. First carjack that was away from this scene yesterday, but today, after you shoot at an officer, you still engage in firearms and try to carjack two additional citizens. That's the kind of stuff that people have to understand. These officers are faced with everything. Again, I'm very proud of the way that they performed today. Who was that? Oh, I don't know yet. I don't have any positive identification. We'll push that out when we get it. They told me young male, so young adult, not a teenager. So some probably in his 20s. So we'll clarify that later. 29 years old, 5 years of service, West Side Patrol. 29 years old. Yeah, 5 years of service, West Side Patrol. You had a question, sir. Go ahead. His car was taken in aggravated robbery, carjacking. So, okay. No. The day before, away from the location. We'll get that for you a little bit later. Go ahead. Do you have something? I'm sorry. Is that it? Hey, thank y'all, and again, I always thank the media. I think got some of the best in the nation. I thank you for a respectful relationship. I really do, a professional relationship. One more, go ahead. We don't know, as you, there's multiple cars of what I'm told. I'm trying to head out there when I get through here, but we'll process it as fast as we can. But we have one dead citizen and officer who's shot, and anybody's family. We're going to treat it with respect and make sure we do a proper investigation, but at the same time, expedite as much as we can to get the traffic flowing. We'll determine that a little bit later. There's no way I can do it right now. But, yeah, push it out. Okay? All right, thank y'all.
We are officially back. Hello, that was 20 minutes. That was fantastic. I hope everybody did well. I kind of wrote something a little trite. I don't know. Creative tone. How is the life of a very successful streamer? Everybody. By the way, everybody should go follow. 1 second. Let me give you a shout out. Everybody should. Here, follow. Follow. You must follow. Oh. Are you an affiliate yet? You had promised somebody Glimmer of Writing. Well, I shouldn't. Yeah. Laziness is pretty fun. It's pretty darn fun. It's cool and it's very neat to be lazy. What have you added back to DeviantArt? Tell me. Banned. Yes, you've been banned officially. I think I'm close there with you. I haven't checked in a while, but I think I'm about. I think I'm at about 11,000 as well. Listen, did I get sick a little bit in the middle of this with like food poisoning? Yes. Yes, I did. So I have an excuse. Nobody else does. I have something that nobody else in writing ever does have. An excuse not to write. That would be fun. Well, I got the energy. I got energy to do stuff today, so. And energy never goes away. And I'll feel like this forever and all the time. That's fun. You have inner strength. One second. One sneeze. That's good. That's good. Sorry about it. Yeah, I had to sneeze. I have inner Belize. By that I mean I've been to Belize once. So, I can't. You did it. You did it. I think we should all celebrate Creative Zone. Everybody clap and shout into your computers. Heck yeah, you did a gosh darn good job. Exactly the way I said it, with pauses and everything. If you don't include the halting pauses, I'll be so frustrated. I'll be like, oh, ad. There's an ad right now playing on Twitch. Do 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 do. It's an ad. It's really cool, and it's playing on Twitch. Do 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 do. Trying to get people to join the military. Not that cool with that. Do do do. Yes, we're all going to join the Air National Guard now. Join up. Yep, I'm still the most popular person on Kick. Most popular riding channel on Kick. That's me. Let's all join it right now! Even if you're not in America, join it. Because magic. I'm a magic man. And by that I mean, look at it. I made it. Disappear. And it's not because of the cabaret angle. Don't look at that. Don't look at that. I'm really good at magic. It's disappeared, and I'm not messing with angles and stuff. I will now make it reappear. Oh my god, it's gone. I disappeared it completely. I don't know what happened to it. It's disappeared. Let's see if I can make it come back. Let's see if I can make it come back now. It's back! I did it! Magic! Electricity, 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 electricity. Yes, you're surprised, you're surprised, you're surprised. Tashi right now is running around his place. I know, right? Magic! Magic. Tashi's running around, their head totally like going, yeah, what? What? How did he do such an amazing magic trick all at once? And I want to tell you honestly, I'm a wizard. I'm a powerful sorcerer who has mastered all 5 magical arts. Magic. I'm the most powerful sorcerer in the world. Magic. Because I've been shadow banned on TikTok, I suspect. Because suddenly all my videos are doing really bad. Like they're not pushing them. And I'm not sure why. Well, there's earth, wind, fire. The magic of creativity and Santa Claus. The 5 magics. Earth, wind, fire, creativity, Santa Claus. They say the one who's mastered them all has true, unimaginable power. That's just way too OP. Santa Claus can defeat fire, and creativity can make any place special. We're not mowing the lawn, we're defeating evil grass-shaped villains with our magical enchanted lawnmower. With magic. Yeah. Oh, I'm not reading right now. What are you talking about? Yeah. Create. Who's your favorite superhero? That's good. That's good. Yeah. All pretty great superheroes. Nightcrawler's fun. And by Nightcrawler, I assume, of course, you mean the movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, where he plays a murderous paparazzo. That's the movie you mean, right? If you want to win the lottery, you have to buy a ticket. Yeah. comic one. No, yeah. That's a pretty fun one. Yes, he's a good pick. I was just talking recently how I find the X-Men stuff to be kind of impenetrable in a weird way. If that makes sense. Boy, I'm losing steam here. Okay. What should we do now? Take a break? Yeah. That sounds like a fun idea. I think I'm gonna take a break in a second here. Okay, so I'm gonna take a break and come back in a minute. Okay, I need just a little break. So, be back in a little bit, everybody. Have a good time. And I have returned from the. I have returned from the. And I have returned from the. Returned from the. Oh, why is it? By the way, please give me money so I can buy a new mic. I'm sick of this mic. Please, I don't want to beg. That'll be the last time I mention it, but my next payout will be used to buy a new mic. So, if you directly want to contribute to me sounding better, if you want to directly contribute to me sounding better, feel free to. If you want to directly contribute to me sounding better, feel free to contribute. I got a new follower an hour ago. I didn't see that. Feel free to contribute. Yeah. It would be fun to get another payout before the end of the year, but that's probably not going to happen. Let's see. There it is. How close am I? I mean, yeah. Yeah. I'm technically not supposed to reveal how much money I've made, but I get paid out at $50, and I'm not there yet. I'm at I'm going to do real simple math that I should be able to do in my head, but I'm going to do it. I need $24 more. I need $24 more to get a payout. So, how can I earn? Oh wow! Whoa! What did you just do? Oh my God, creative. Thank you so much. Holy heck. Thank you so much. I didn't even notice that. Wow. Oh my God. You are my favorite. You know what that deserves? I feel bad now. I didn't mean to really, I was kind of joking. I mean, I'm very appreciative. Thank you so much for the gifts. 1 second. I think I can just... I can grant this status from here. There we go. You have officially been granted status. You are a somebody now. Thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you so much. Let's see. So I get... Yeah, I think you got me to my payout. I think you got me to my payout, man. Thank you so much for that. That's a... Yeah, that'll come in handy. I really do want to get a new mic, so that's what I'm going to do with it. I'm sick of this mic. Because I've been listening back to it, and it's like, ooh, the audio quality is not particularly great. I'm going to get a nice, I'm going to get a nice wireless mic that I can just attach to right here, and I can just speak to people that way. That's my plan, at least. It'll be like I'm right in your ear. And sad. Look at us crying. So hard, both of us right at the exact same time. No, but seriously, thank you so much for that. That was very appreciated. It doesn't have any meaning. Whoa, wow, 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 wow. Let's think back to this for a second. How do I know that the blue I'm seeing isn't different from the blue you're seeing? Have you thought about that? Isn't that interesting? Yeah. What? You know, like, money's just a construct, man. You know, but it has no meaning except the meaning we give it. So, like, you know, why don't you just give? Everybody should just give me their money because it has no meaning. And when the bill man come, you know, when the bills come, explain that to the bill collectors that money has like no meaning. And you know what? They'll appreciate that because you are an independent thinker. Pokemon. Okay, top Pokemon of all time. The one that has two big pants. The one that's just a bomb. The one that's wearing a mask. The partier, the one that likes to party, and Pikachu. Those are the top 5 Pokemon. Top 20 Pokemon. Little spooky face. Big spooky face. Super scary spooky face. Magic Boy. Water Fox. Earth Fox. Fire Fox. Pile of rocks, and mushroom. Top 40, okay. Mean dog, guy who owns boxing gloves. Water dude. Big mean dog. Big mean fire dog. Scary clown. And face. Those are the top Pokemons. I'm having fun with this. What else? Isn't Crate such a nice, isn't Crate great? One has arrived. I don't know. Is that something I wrote? Oh, wait, who's Pain and Paper? Pain and Paper? Thank you so much for the follow. Yes. Strangely hypnotic, that GIF. I suspect you're okay, if you're still here, I'll give you a shout out. I got a new follower. Nope. They left. Well, I think I'm pretty tired. Thanks again. I think I'm pretty tired. I know I didn't hit the thing, but... Oh. I know I didn't hit the thing, but I think I'm pretty distracted. We wrote. I got about 1,000 words done. So I'm going to call it here. I hope everybody had a good time. Yeah. I mean, I also don't care if I actually hit the goal. Part of me doing nanowrimo is a little bit of a ad campaign. Anyway, okay. Talk to you guys later. Have a good time. Bye-bye. And I think I'm still on YouTube. Bye-bye again.